Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Comfort Circle. Today we have a very special guest with us. She is a cancer nutritionist and dietitian, and we're honored to have you, Michelle.
Hi everyone. My name is Michelle, and I have been in this cancer industry for around 10 years. Previously, I have been working with the local private hospital. I mainly manage the cancer center over there, from the dietetics part, managing their nutrition, and also in the food service part, preparing their food and meals. Past 5 years, I have been seeing patients online, especially for cancer patients. But not only that, I also see a lot of people suffering from hormonal issues or digestive issues or other chronic diseases as well.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing work, honestly. So, how come you decided to go into this field of work?
Actually, it started from my grandfather. So when I was younger, during my teenage years, my grandfather actually got stage 4 prostate cancer, metastasized to the bone, and doctor only gave him 3 months to live. And that time he was diagnosed at 79 years old. So that's why doctors say they couldn't do much, especially for like chemo or radiotherapy. It could be too harsh for him that time. So that's why they only did a small surgery on him to remove the prostate, and they just asked us to actually he went back to cancer free. So it's a very inspiring journey for especially for our family.
Yeah, that is true. I spoke to another cancer nutritionist. Maybe you saw that episode. And
Yeah.
she was talking about the same thing. Like, I feel like people don't really pay attention to nutrition as much as they should. It can
Yes.
make a really big difference. Uh, my first question is that, when someone is diagnosed, immediately everyone tells them that they will have to start eating healthy. So, where do they even start? Like, what's the first thing?
Usually, when people is diagnosed with cancer, they will search a lot of things online. Then, they will switch from extremes, like either cutting out sugar or even fruits because fruits contain sugar, or even meat, dairy. Yeah, a lot of food groups will be eliminated. But I think from a dietitian point of view, balance is very important. Yeah, how you design your everyday meals, and also the portion, the frequency. Even though it's fun food like fried food or ice cream, it's still okay to take, but the frequency and the portion matters. Usually, when we talk about when we advise about their nutrition, and so our my focus is usually to help patients to nourish their bodies with real whole foods. So I will advise them at least 80% of the time try to go for real whole foods, and so that it can also help to support their immune system, their detox system when they are going through the cancer treatment. Yeah, then if necessary, I also will recommend some necessary supplements for them, and to help them to restore their balance and also their strength during the cancer treatment. Not only the diet is important, usually I also very focus about their lifestyle, how they manage their stress, especially for hormone-inducing cancer like breast cancer, ovarian cancer. Actually, this emotional part is also very important. And their exercise and also some environmental toxins. I will also educate them about what kind of pan do they use or what kind of kitchen utensils do they use, because this is how the food is exposed to different kind of toxins, and we try to reduce this kind of excessive toxins through their food and environment as well.
That was actually super interesting. And I had a question for you, which was which kitchen utensil is harmful for our health?
First thing first, usually I will ask them to avoid all kinds of plastics. Yeah, so
Okay.
especially with the containers, plastic containers, or even plastic bottles, especially when it's exposed to hot food or even frozen food, because all these can change the structure of the plastics and make the plastic to be leached into our food, and when it's exposed to acidic food as well. So especially this kind of food, we try to avoid plastics first thing. And also for the pans, try to minimize the use of non-stick pans, especially like Teflon pans. Try to switch to probably a safer ones like stainless steel or even ceramic pans. Yeah, will be much safer.
Oh, okay, so non-stick pans are also not safe for use.
Yeah, yeah, especially if it's scratched. When it's
Hmm.
scratched or cooked under very high heat, yeah, the Teflon actually can be broken down, and also the metals from the pan also can be leached out. So that's why when you see any scratch, even a tiny scratch on a non-stick pan, usually I will ask the patients to, yeah, to switch away.
I did not know that. That's actually super interesting. I think
Yeah.
for people even without cancer, this information is helpful. You just mentioned something about like cancer in which there's like a hormonal imbalance. So, what are the early signs that someone's hormones are off?
Usually, people, especially for women, we are more sensitive to hormone imbalance. So first thing, some people will have, especially some menstruation issue, either irregular periods or even cramps. Yeah, but after, if you are not very aware of your symptoms, it can also develop to like cysts, fibroids, or even, yeah, cysts, fibroids probably in your gynae region, but also in your breast region. And yeah, some thyroid issues can also cause like fatigue or even insomnia. Yeah, so a lot of symptoms you can actually, if we are more mindful, actually we know that our hormone are out of balance, and it's actually better to, yeah, detect it early and also balance back earlier. Yeah, something like PCOS is also a type of hormone imbalance.
Okay, and like having PCOS could be an early sign for having cancer.
It could be a risk factor. Having PCOS actually can increase the risk of having ovarian or endometrium cancer.
So you mentioned that there is other foods other than salmon, other fish. Which ones would those be? Which are high in omega-3?
Yeah, so yeah, a lot of people when they think about omega-3, definitely the first thing in their mind is salmon. But of
Mm.
course, actually, especially, I'm not sure about in the US, but in Malaysia, actually, salmon is not very easily available. And even though if it's available, but sometimes the price could be quite high, so it's not really affordable, especially for the majority of the community. So that's why, yeah, I usually will advise other types of fish that are locally available and also affordable for the people. So, for example, mackerel. Mackerel is one of the highest omega-3 content fish, which is quite similarly high with the salmon. And also, we have other fish like sardine or even barramundi. Yeah, so all these fish actually, as long as you are taking this group of fish at least 2 to 3 times a week, actually is sufficient. You are meeting your omega-3 requirements. Yeah, so you don't have to take additional supplements.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like I think sardines are also easily available most
Yes,
places.
yes. Even the canned ones is also very easy.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, makes sense. So, another question is that you spoke about early detection not being the same as prevention. That was really interesting to me. I saw your content piece on that as well, but I feel like other people could also benefit from it. So, could you like explain that part a little bit?
Yeah, so I think in the medical field, usually they will emphasize a lot about like screening, like screening to help to early detect. Of course, it's really true that if you detect your cancer earlier, especially in the early stage, your survival rate is higher. But I think sometimes the focus is shifted uh, from the real prevention steps, like how to eat healthy, how to make your lifestyle, for example, to have a balanced hormones and also good gut health and all that, because all these they are pillars to help to prevent cancer. But a lot of time I think our focus is more on the screening part, like doing for example on in October during the breast cancer awareness, they do a lot of like a mammogram or ultrasound promotion. But I think the focus like education about how to eat healthily for breast health or even hormonal health, I think the focus is lesser on this part.
These things are screening, but they're not preventing the actual occurrence of disease.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, that makes sense. You speak about Asian foods,
Mhm.
specifically Asian foods and how people can incorporate those into their diets. So, how do you think those are beneficial for people going through cancer? Asian foods.
Asian foods, okay. So Asian foods, I think we have a lot of, especially soy-based food. It's a good source of plant protein, and also it has a lot of beneficial compounds like phytoestrogen. So it's actually a myth that, like for example, breast cancer or even a hormonal cancer can't really eat soy products. So this is actually a big myth that, yeah, I hope more and more people understand, because sometimes even doctors tell breast cancer patients not to eat any soy based food, and also they drink lesser dairy products, because especially in the western countries, dairy is probably a more important part. In Asian countries, usually people don't really drink a lot of dairy, probably just once or twice per week. Yeah, I can see that bone health here is also better, even though the dairy consumption is lower. But of course, this also is associated with other kind of factors as well, like exercises and also their lifestyle and all that. Other than that, for Asian diets, I think we also have a lot of fermented food. So, for example, like kimchi, miso, and all that, I think daily part of our diet. And yeah, I think this really help us to build like good gut health and yeah.
So, when people are recovering from cancer, they usually have like a very unhealthy relationship with food because they've been told that everything is going to make their cancer worse and
Mm,
food is very important. So it can build like an anxious relationship with food.
yes.
When they finish their treatment, they try to like start rebuilding and repairing this relationship. How do you think they can rebuild that relationship?
I think being in a supportive community really matters, like the family and also their caregivers and also their friends. A lot of people they are really affected by what people say what you should eat or what you shouldn't eat. Yeah, so I think personally, I think this group of patients need to yeah, first thing they need to cut off these kind of voices. And if they are really anxious about food, probably they can go to get help from professionals like dietitians to really seek for yeah, I think scientific evidence whether it's really beneficial for them to continue this kind of eating pattern for long term. And yeah, I think food fears is a no joke. I think probably they can have some small steps. Usually, what we dietitians will do, we will give them space and help them to add more food slowly into their daily diet rather than focusing on removing food or even entire food groups. Yeah, so that when they feel that, oh, I feel better after adding food, then usually they will feel more confident, and step by step they are able to eat the diet with more diversity and balance.
I think that is the key to most things, just doing them in moderation rather
Yeah.
than cutting it out. You probably hear a lot of information which you're like, that's not right. So, what is like your top food myth that you've heard?
Top food myth. The extremes, which one is you can eat everything, or another one is you can't eat any, like everything. There's a problem. Yeah, you can't eat sugar, you can't eat fruits, you can't eat chicken, um, you can't eat meat, dairy. So everything feels like you have nothing to eat. Yeah, so this is something I hope more cancer patients they can feel more empowered with the help of dietitian. It's not about removing the whole food group, but it's actually about finding the balance.
And just bouncing off that question, what is one food that you would recommend people to add to their diets? If you could just give one.
So one thing I really like is edamame.
Edamame,
One
okay.
food, yeah. So it's a soy based food, but it's also yeah, it's very high in protein and high in fiber. So especially for cancer patients when they are not able to eat big meals, actually sometimes they prefer to have more snacks. So one of the healthy snacks they can go for is like this steamed edamame. And secondly, I think bone broth. Organic chicken bone broth. Patients, they will be suffering with a lot of appetite changes or even nausea. Um, or sometimes even diarrhea. So having bone broth throughout the day, like sip by sip, actually can help them to feel more comforting. And another third one, I would say ginger.
Ginger, okay.
Yeah, ginger. I think it's there are a lot of uses for ginger. You can either make ginger tea, make it a beverage, or even make it as part of your cooking. So reduce the nausea and vomiting in a lot of cancer treatment patients.
Okay, that was actually my last question for you.
Thank you.
I just have two things to ask you which are not related to food, but they're actually related to our brand. So I'm not sure if you know that Inspired Comforts is a brand which is making recovery clothing for people going through chemotherapy, dialysis, post-surgery. So
Mm.
I guess my first question is, do you know what adaptive clothing is or recovery clothing?
Not really. Before I bump into your brand.
Gonna share my screen and I'm gonna show you a picture. And if you could just tell me what you think is the purpose of this clothing item. What do you think is the purpose of this?
When blood taking, or like for example, doing PBL, yeah, I think doing chemo or dialysis, yeah, is easily.
Yeah, that's actually pretty close. Yeah, it's a dialysis hoodie. Okay, just one last one. What about this one?
Mm, so I can only think of like stoma bag, or even like liver cancer, they need some tapping on their abdomen.
Okay. This is like a tearaway shirt, and the purpose is basically to be able to dress after surgery with ease.
Mm.
Right. Thank you so much for playing this little game with us. And uh, thank you so much for joining us, actually, Michelle, and for sharing all this very useful information. I'm so glad that you could make time to speak.
Just want to say thank you for having me.